This is everything I took for a 4,000 kilometre unsupported bikepacking race across Europe. We had 40-degree heat in the south of Italy, 4 days of freezing rain through the Alps, and then the inevitable Dutch mountain when we reached the Netherlands at the end of the race. Doesn't look like very much, but I'm really pleased with what I took, and I got through the entire thing with one puncture, and that was it, despite having a crash due to a dog attack in Italy. So I thought I'd run through everything I took, the choices I made, the things I left behind, and go through a few things I might change in a future race. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel and another ultra cycling related video, and I'm back. The race took me 14 days, but it was amazing, absolutely amazing. It'll take me a while to edit the video and get that out. I haven't even got the Be Hard video out as yet, so stay tuned for both of those films. But today, I thought I'd do this after the race for a change, go through everything I took, the decisions that I made. Some of them were a little bit controversial at the time, but actually this worked out to be a really good setup. So I thought I'd do this retrospectively, so if you were planning to do a similar event or a long race, so you can understand some of the decisions that I made and the expectation versus reality. But first of all, to give you some background, Via Race is a 4,000 kilometre unsupported bikepacking race across Europe. It is a road race, no gravel, but riding through the south of Italy, gravel is basically inevitable. We had tons of surprise gravel. There was one point I made the decision to climb a mountain on gravel, and it seemed like a good idea at the time, terrible idea. But apart from that, I had a lot of gravel, and it was all completely unintentional. We essentially have a series of gates to hit. I think it was around 14 gates, starting in Giovinazzo in the south of Italy, working our way up the spine of Italy into the Alps, kind of do a zigzag Z shape through the Alps, a lot of mountains, through Bavaria, and then head north through Germany towards the Netherlands. That's a pretty basic rundown of the route, but it gives you an idea of the kinds of terrain that we're hitting in the race. So it's all road, quite a lot of mountains, unsupported, so bivvying where I can. The bike itself, if you've watched for a while, it's my Mason Definition. Love this bike, I've ridden it for years now. I keep saying I'll get a new bike for the next season. I keep sticking with it, so I'm sure this will be here next season too. I did upgrade the wheels not long before the race to these 50mm DT Swiss wheels, much quicker, much nicer. I had to have the dynamo hub fitted to the front wheel, managed to get that done just before I left, faultless. It's a Sun 28 dynamo. Once that was installed, it was ready to go. There is one drawback with the wheels, but I'll get to that in a little while. So I think I'll run through bag by bag what I took. Starting with the seat pack, that's a nice and easy one, very small. I wasn't going to take that to begin with. It's only got a bivvy bag and an airbed and a spare pair of bib shorts. That's all that's in there. I did have a second seat pack which is larger, my Ortlieb seat pack, because originally I was thinking about taking a sleeping bag, but quite a small compact sleeping bag. That was a bit of a topic of discussion around the start. Do we take our sleeping bags, do we not? Most people I spoke to weren't going to be taking their sleeping bags because it's going to be quite hot. It was going to be chilly in the Alps, but also wet. Made the decision to leave them behind, and I'm pretty happy with that decision. I was okay, to be honest. I didn't get too cold through the Alps. The top shoe bag I tried to leave for things that I want access to all through the day. So I had things like my leg warmers when it got quite cold, my liner gloves. I had some gloves that were quite thin, went underneath my main gloves, just to keep my hands a bit warmer. I had a small tripod in there, and a couple of other bits and bobs that I might want access to during the day, like my power bank and things like that. It's not a very big bag, but it was quite useful for that sort of stuff. The frame bag I tried to keep for things that I need access to in the evening, mainly. Had a bag full of toiletries, so when I pull my bivvy out and climb in, give myself a quick clean, brush my teeth and things like that, and climb into bed. Also had things like sun cream, chamois cream, things I'll stick on when I get out of bed in the morning and start riding. I tend to have the same routine every day in an event like this. I've never done one this many days. And if I follow that routine, then I tend to have very few saddle sores and issues. And also a bag of large wet wipes. I think I had at one point maybe 5 or 6 days between showers. A bit gross, but you only really smell it when you stop riding. If you can smell it when you're riding along, then you know it's starting to get really bad. By the way, if this is useful at all, then consider subscribing to the channel for more videos kind of like this and the films from the event as well. And behind the frame bag, that little bag is just a couple of inner tubes. It really annoys me that there's a dead space in the frame there, so I just strap the inner tubes away in a plastic baggie. That way, they're not taking up room in the other bags. So moving downwards, the tool bag at the bottom, these are all Apogura bags, by the way. I don't get them for free, but I did get a bit of a discount, so full disclosure. But that tool bag is really useful. I don't have to put tools in any of my other bags. As I said, I didn't have any mechanical issues. I do have everything I need in there just in case. I have my tools, my pump, I've got a boot, I've got spare chain links, pretty much everything I could think of that I might need to sort myself out if I have a bit of a mechanical disaster. But like I said, I didn't have any issues in the event at all. In the cockpit area, I've got two separate bags. The one at the front I tend to use to hold my Garmin, and also for quick access I had all of my USB cables and things inside of there. And the one in the middle, I tend to keep my camera inside there for quick access to film the events. It's really useful having those bags right there. I spend a lot of time in the aero bars, so I can shove food there and just eat as I ride and keep on motoring along. I even have a snood around the aero bars. That kind of created a bit of a trough. So I'd buy bags of Haribo, bags of sweets and things, stick them inside the snood, and then I could just pick food out as I rode along. Really useful. And that's basically everything. That's everything that I have on the bike, everything I carried to try to survive this race. I suppose I should go through layers a bit because we were exposed to some pretty severe elements. In the south of Italy, we had 40 degrees Celsius, sun beating down on us day after day. I've actually got tan lines on my back of my bib shorts, and that was through my jersey. And then in the Alps, so much freezing rain, felt kind of dangerously cold at times. All I had with me was a pair of bib shorts, had my leg warmers, which I kept in here, I had my jersey, I had my raincoat, which is here, and my buff, my gloves, my liner gloves, and that's basically it. It felt fine in Italy, pretty hot, but I can take clothes off when it's really hot. The awkward part was the Alps, really. So much rain, 4 days of heavy rain, and at one point I had a hailstorm hit me on a descent and was just freezing cold. It was so cold I was shivering and struggling to warm up, to be honest. I had to stuff my emergency foil blanket down my jersey to try to keep my core warm. That's not really ideal, to be honest. It got me through the event. It did feel a bit sketchy at times, but that's it. That's literally everything I had, apart from my passport and a credit card and things like that. That's everything I carried. It's really surprising how little gear you need for an event like that, really. Nevertheless, there are some things that I will change for future races. I think I definitely will carry more layers. I'll definitely try to be a little bit warmer. I had enough layers to survive, but definitely not enough to be comfortable. There were times I was pretty cold. I don't think I needed very much more at all, really, but I definitely skimped a little bit too much on the layers. One thing that surprised me, actually, I love these wheels. It's a really loud free hub. If you know DT Swiss, they're very loud. During Be Hard, I think it just wound other riders up more than anything. But what I noticed in this race, the dogs. The dogs can hear you coming from so much further away with a free hub like that, and you can hear them a mile off, start barking, and you're in deep trouble. If it's sheep dogs, that's really bad news, but even the neighbourhood dogs in the small towns in Italy would rush me from the sides, and at one point I crashed and broke my Oakleys. Really not ideal. That was on the first night. So I think I'll try to find a way to make that a bit quieter. Another issue I had was charging my equipment. I couldn't use a lot of my equipment during the Alpine section because the rain was just so heavy and so constant. And I think charging the equipment was one of the main issues. Riding wise, I was limited to the battery life of my Garmin. So as soon as that ran down, I needed to get inside to try to dry it off and then charge it. And that meant losing quite a lot of time. And more often than not, I'd get into places and it wouldn't charge because it was too wet. So I'd have to sit there and wait, try to dry it on the fan on the side of an ATM. So I was sleeping in ATMs a lot of the time. That caused everyone a lot of issues. I think one way I can negate that in future is to get a little SynWave device inside the bag to constantly charge my power bank and then constantly charge things inside my bags, because my bags were dry. So I think leaving things exposed and having to charge them when I got back to hotels wasn't working really. Those are some of the main issues I had. I think everybody had quite similar issues during the event. The only thing that sticks with me after the event, I really enjoyed it. I pretty much bike packed the route until we got through the Alps. Once we were in Bavaria, I was into kind of familiar territory after the TCR. That's as far as I got in the TCR. So actually, from there, I pushed on to the end. Everything up until then, I took quite easy, to be honest. I felt really fresh and really good. When I got to the end of the event, after 14 days of riding, I felt pretty good, to be honest. I don't feel like I pushed myself as hard as I could have. So that's another change I think I'll make tactically next time I'm going to push harder and race it a bit harder. And I don't want that to sound douchey, like if I'd have tried, I could have placed a bit higher. I just really enjoyed riding through Italy. I've never been there before, and Austria, never been there before. But I do intend to race Fiat next year, and I intend to race it a bit harder. So that's it, that's everything I took. Quite a short video. I just wanted to run through that after the event so you can see what I took and what I'll change for future races. If you've got any questions about what I took, about the race, then drop them in the comments. I do try to reply to all of them. And videos-wise, I'll be honest, I've had a few weeks back. This hasn't even been cleaned yet. It's been home on the wall, absolutely filthy. I can't even bring myself to clean this bike, but I'm slowly starting to get into the right headspace. So I'll start getting some videos out again, and I'll start working on the films for these events. Yeah, any questions, put them in the comments. And that's it for this one, so I'll see you next time.